Welcome back for another deep dive. This time we're taking a closer look at the world of Canadian construction contracts,
Mm.
specifically CCDC 23.
Yes. CCDC 23.
And before anyone starts picturing, like hammers and nails and all that,
Yeah.
we're actually focusing on something even more foundational. We're going to
Mm.
be looking at how those big construction projects actually get started,
That's right.
and more specifically, how the companies who bring those projects to life get chosen.
Yeah, it's really all about setting the stage to make sure the bidding process is fair,
Yeah.
transparent for everybody involved, from owners to
Makes
contractors.
sense. So let's pretend for a second that I want to build a science museum,
Oh, okay.
a really, really cool cutting-edge science museum.
Awesome.
Now, how does CCDC 23 help me find the perfect construction partner? I mean, it can't be as simple as just going with, like, whoever has the lowest bid, right?
You're absolutely right. It's not just about the price.
Okay.
CCDC 23 really emphasizes the importance of the duty of fairness, making sure all the bidders have a level playing field.
So, you don't have some companies getting insider information or the rules changing mid-game?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It creates a standardized process so everyone has a fair shot.
Gotcha. So how does that, like, duty of fairness play out in reality? Does CCDC 23, like, set up a specific scoring system for these companies?
Not exactly. It's
Oh.
more about setting those clear expectations from the get-go
Right.
and having a consistent process. Actually, CCDC 23 outlines two main stages:
Okay.
Contract A and Contract B.
Okay.
Contract A, think of it like an initial meet and greet.
Okay.
Owners invite potential bidders to submit like their qualifications, some preliminary proposals, and get a feel for the costs.
Oh, so it's like a pre-qualification round,
Exactly.
kind of narrowing down the pool, figuring out, like, who are the most promising candidates?
Exactly. And then if things progress well,
Okay.
we move on to Contract B. That's where things get official.
Oh.
The official agreement where you hash out all the nitty-gritty details of the project.
Gotcha. So no jumping into, concrete and blueprints just yet?
Not quite yet.
But, I mean, you got to start somewhere, right?
Right.
Let's talk about those bid documents.
Sure.
What kind of information needs to be included in there?
Well, you have to think of those bid documents as the foundation for the whole project.
Okay.
Everything needs to be clear and detailed. And CCDC 23 highlights three key components:
Okay.
Division 000, Division 01, and the technical specifications.
Okay. Lots of divisions. Break it down for me.
Sure. So Division 00 is all about the administrative stuff, the procedures of the bidding process.
Yeah.
So like instructions to bidders, the project information, the forms they need to submit, all that good stuff.
So that's like the instruction manual for the actual bidding itself.
Exactly.
And then what about Division 01?
Division 01 dives into the general requirements of the project itself, safety standards, the materials they're going to be using, things like that.
Okay, so that's more like the general rule book for the actual building part.
Exactly.
Right. And then what about the technical specs? You mentioned those.
Oh, yeah, the technical specifications, those are the most important. Really detailed breakdown of exactly what needs to be built, how it all functions, any special requirements.
Oh, I see. So it's like, imagine trying to put together a piece of furniture without the instructions.
Exactly. It'd be a nightmare.
You're going to end up with, like, 5 extra pieces
Huh.
and a chair that's upside down.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got those bid documents, everything's all laid out.
Yeah.
So how do you actually go about choosing who gets to bid on the project?
Well,
I mean, is it like a free-for-all? Can anyone just jump in?
not exactly.
Okay.
CCDC 23 outlines three main methods: open bidding, invitational bidding, and then bid depositories.
Okay. Lots of options.
Right. So open bidding, it's kind of like casting a wide net.
Okay.
Any qualified contractor can throw their hat in the ring.
Promotes competition.
Exactly.
Potentially gets you a better price.
Exactly. Then you've got invitational bidding.
Okay.
This is more of a curated approach.
Right.
Owners invite specific contractors they already know and trust,
Oh, I see.
often for those specialized or smaller projects.
So, like, open bidding is like a public audition,
Yeah.
and invitational bidding is like a private casting call.
Perfect analogy.
Right.
And then you have bid depositories.
Okay.
These are a little more specialized.
Okay.
They act as secure central hubs. Subcontractors can submit their bids directly.
Yeah.
Often used in larger projects where you've got multiple subcontractors involved.
So like a one-stop shop for bids.
Yeah, it helps ensure confidentiality and prevents, Things like bid shopping.
Bid shopping. What's that?
Oh, that's where someone tries to unfairly lower their bid using information from their competitors?
So not exactly playing by the rules.
Exactly, exactly. CCDC 23 is all about making sure the bidding process is fair.
Everybody plays by the same rules.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So, okay, you've got all these bids rolling in.
Yeah.
How do you actually sift through them all? How do you choose the best candidate?
Right.
I mean, it can't just be whoever's offering the cheapest price.
Right. You're absolutely right. That's where the bid evaluation process comes in.
Okay.
And CCDC 23 provides like a framework for doing that fairly and transparently.
Okay.
You're looking for what's called the lowest compliant bidder.
Lowest compliant bidder. Okay, so not just the cheapest option. What makes a bidder compliant?
So compliant means the contractor has met all the requirements laid out in those detailed bid documents we talked about.
Okay.
Technical specs, their finances, the proposed schedule, their safety records,
Okay.
everything the owner has specified.
So you're looking at the whole package,
The whole package.
not just the number at the bottom of the page.
Exactly. You're trying to find the best fit for the project.
It's like finding the missing piece of a puzzle.
Yes.
Perfect. It's got to fit on all sides, not just one, right?
Absolutely. And that evaluation process has to be meticulous, well documented to ensure that fairness and transparency.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but what about, those curveballs?
Oh, yeah.
Construction projects, they rarely go exactly according to plan,
Never.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what about those unforeseen challenges or questions from the bidders? Maybe some changes need to be made to the plan.
Right.
How does CCDC 23 help you navigate all that?
Well, there's a specific section in CCDC 23 dealing with bidder inquiries and addenda.
Okay.
A bidder inquiry is basically just a question from a potential bidder. They're looking for clarification on some part of the bid document.
Okay.
And it's super important to respond to those inquiries promptly and consistently.
So you're making sure that everyone has the same information?
Exactly. Transparency is key.
No, like secret whispers to favorite bidders or anything like that?
No, absolutely not. And then you have addenda,
Okay.
which are formal changes, or you could think of it as clarifications issued to the bid documents after they've been released. So think of it as an official update to the rulebook. And again, all the bidders need to receive these addendas, and they need to have the opportunity to adjust their bids accordingly.
So no sneaking in any last-minute rule changes.
Nope. Got to keep it fair.
So it's like CCDC 23 is like the referee,
Yeah.
making sure everyone is playing by the same rules.
Exactly.
Keeping the game fair, even when things get a little complicated.
Absolutely. You got it.
Okay, so you've gone through this whole process. You've evaluated all the proposals. You've answered all the questions. You've made any necessary adjustments. How do you actually make that final decision?
Right.
Award the contract.
Well, typically, the owner will choose the lowest compliant bidder.
Okay.
So the company that's offering the best value while still meeting all those requirements.
Okay.
But it's not always quite that simple. Sometimes there are these post-bid negotiations.
Oh.
Iron out any specific details or finalized terms before the contract is officially awarded. And CCDC 23, it provides guidelines for these negotiations, making sure that they don't undermine the fairness of the original bidding process.
So you can't change the rules of the game after the final whistle's blown.
Exactly, you got it. And once all parties agree, the contract is signed.
Okay.
Then the project can finally move forward.
That makes sense. So what happens to all the other bidders? Do they get a participation trophy or something?
Maybe a tiny blueprint.
Right.
But seriously, CCDC 23 recommends that you notify all the bidders of the outcome, whether they were successful or not.
Okay.
It's about maintaining good relationships and transparency. And of course, all those bid documents have to be archived for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
Just in case any questions come up or there's an audit down the road.
It's like keeping good records for your taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
But for a science museum.
Exactly.
So it seems like CCDC 23 is a lot more than just a guide to picking the right contractor.
Oh.
It's really this comprehensive framework for making sure the whole process is fair and transparent from start to finish.
Absolutely. And that's just the beginning of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Once the contract is awarded, then you move into the really exciting part, actually building the project. And, CCDC 23 still plays a huge role in guiding that process.
Oh, interesting. Well, I can't wait to dig into that part next time.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
But first, a quick break. We'll be right back to explore all those essential details that turn those architectural visions into reality. So stay tuned.
Stay with us. Welcome back. So we've navigated that whole bidding process.
Yeah, we've found our contractor.
We've selected our dream team, and now it's time to shift gears and, lay down a solid contractual foundation for this whole project.
Right, because signing a contract is a pretty big deal.
It is,
Yeah.
especially when you're talking about building something as, complex and as awesome as a science museum.
Yeah, it's not just like splitting the bill at a taco truck.
Exactly. You need a strong agreement.
What?
That protects everyone involved.
Okay,
Lays out all the roles, responsibilities, the financial side of things.
makes sense.
And that's where CCDC 23 comes in clutch again,
Okay.
offering guidance on all those different contract types.
Oh, so there are different types.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just one size fits all.
No, not at all. Tailored to those different project needs and complexities.
Okay, so what kind of options are we talking about here?
Well, one of the most common ones is the stipulated price contract.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward. The contractor agrees to complete the project
Okay.
for a fixed, predetermined price.
Okay.
Works really well when the project scope is, crystal clear.
Right.
And there's not a lot of risk of, major changes.
So for our hypothetical science museum,
Yeah.
if we have like a very detailed design, we've got a good handle on material costs, labor costs.
Yeah.
A stipulated price contract could be a good fit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Provides a lot of certainty in terms of budget,
Yeah.
which is usually a top priority for owners.
Makes sense.
But sometimes projects, they're a bit more fluid.
Yeah.
There's a higher chance of changes happening along the way.
Right. Right.
So in those cases, a cost-plus contract might be the better option.
Cost plus. Okay, so that's where you're essentially covering the contractor's actual costs
Right.
as they're happening, plus like an agreed upon fee are their services.
You got it.
Okay.
This type of contract, it gives you more flexibility.
Okay.
When the project scope, maybe it's not as defined,
Right.
or there's a potential for some unforeseen things
Okay.
that could impact those costs.
Right. Like what? Give me an example.
Sure, let's say, I don't know, you hit some unexpected site conditions during, excavation.
Oh, right.
Or maybe some new super cool exhibit technology comes out
yeah.
that you want to incorporate.
Gotta have the latest and greatest, right?
Exactly. A cost-plus contract allows you to make those adjustments
Oh, yeah.
without blowing up the entire budget.
Ah. So it's kind of like having that built-in buffer
It is.
for those unexpected surprises.
Exactly.
Things always come up,
Always.
especially with big, complex projects.
Especially in construction. Gives you that wiggle room to adapt
All right.
without throwing the whole financial plan out the window.
I like it. Are there any other contract types we should talk about?
Oh, yeah. You've also got the unit price contract.
Okay.
This is often used when you have projects with a lot of repetitive work,
Oh, okay. Like what?
like road construction, large-scale landscaping, things like that.
Oh, okay.
The contractor is paid a set price per unit of work.
Okay.
So say per cubic meter of earth excavated or per square meter of pavement laid.
Oh, I see.
This is really useful when the exact quantities are kind of hard to figure out up front.
Right.
But those unit costs, they're pretty predictable.
So it's kind of like paying for groceries by weight
Yeah.
instead of for each individual item, right?
Perfect. Yeah. Allows those adjustments based on the actual quantities used.
Okay.
So everyone's treated fairly.
Okay. Makes sense.
Of course, choosing that right contract type,
Yeah.
that's a big decision.
Right.
You got to consider all those project needs, the risks, the budget.
Right, because the contract really is
Yeah.
like the bedrock of the whole project.
Exactly.
If you choose poorly,
Yeah.
could lead to some serious construction headaches.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And speaking of headaches,
Oh, no. What way?
let's talk about insurance.
Okay. Yeah, that's important.
It's crucial. You wouldn't drive a car without insurance.
Right.
You shouldn't build a major project without making sure everybody's covered.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So what kind of insurance are we talking about?
Yeah. What are we looking at here?
Well, first and foremost, you've got commercial general liability insurance.
Okay.
This covers things like, property damage, injuries that happen on the site.
Okay.
So let's say a piece of equipment malfunctions. Oh, no.
Damages a neighboring building or a passerby gets injured. This insurance would help cover those costs.
So it's like a safety net
Exactly.
for those unforeseen incidents that can happen,
Yeah.
even on, well-managed sites.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then you've got builder's risk insurance.
Okay, what's that?
This one protects the building itself during construction.
Okay.
So it covers potential damage from things like fire, vandalism, theft, maybe a crazy weather event,
Ah,
all those unexpected things.
right, right.
Think of it as like a comprehensive policy
Okay.
for that building while it's under construction.
So, like, if a big storm rolls in and, damages part of the museum's structure,
Yeah,
or if somebody tries to break in,
exactly.
that builder's risk insurance would help cover the costs.
You got it. Gives you peace of mind.
Right.
Knowing that those unexpected events won't completely derail the whole project.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And of course, there's workers' compensation insurance.
Yeah. Which is mandatory pretty much everywhere
Right.
to cover medical expenses and lost wages for workers who get injured on the job.
Because you want to make sure that the crew is safe.
Absolutely.
Their well-being is taken care of.
Yeah, top priority.
What about, like, the architects and the engineers, all those design professionals?
Oh, good point.
They need special insurance too, right?
Yes, professional liability insurance, also known as errors and omissions insurance.
Okay.
This is crucial for those guys.
Okay.
It protects them in case, their designs or specifications, maybe they have an error or an omission
Oh, okay.
that causes a problem during construction or even after the building's finished.
So, like, if there's a flaw in the blueprints
Yeah.
and it causes a structural issue down the road,
Right.
this insurance would help cover the costs of fixing it.
Exactly.
All right.
Having those safeguards in place to mitigate those risks.
Right.
Make sure everyone's accountable throughout the project.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And CCDC 23, it provides guidance on those appropriate levels of insurance coverage for all those different scenarios,
Right.
making sure everyone's got that essential protection.
This is so helpful.
I'm glad it is.
Okay, so we've got our contract, we've got our insurance.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to think about before we start digging?
Well, we need to talk about money.
Oh, yeah, the fun part.
Right. Payments.
Okay,
And how those are handled throughout the project.
makes sense.
CCDC 23 provides that framework, makes sure contractors are paid fairly
Okay,
on time for the work they're doing, which keeps things moving smoothly.
right, because nobody wants to work for free. Right.
Exactly. And construction projects, they involve a lot of expenses
Yeah.
that need to be covered as the work's being done.
Absolutely.
A common approach is progress payments.
Okay.
So the contractor submits invoices, usually monthly,
Oh.
based on the percentage of work that's been completed.
So they're getting paid in installments
Yeah,
rather than one big lump sum at the end.
exactly. Helps maintain a nice, steady cash flow.
Keeps things moving forward.
You got it.
What happens if, like, the scope of the project changes,
Oh, yeah.
midstream?
Right.
Like, we decide, you know what, we want to add a planetarium to our science museum.
Yeah, planetarium. Awesome.
Or maybe we got to make some adjustments because, the site conditions weren't what we expected.
Right.
That's where change orders come in.
Yeah, that's it.
CCDC 23, does it have guidance on those?
Absolutely. CCDC 23, it offers guidance on how to handle these changes fairly and transparently.
Because change orders, those sound like a recipe for disaster,
Oh, yeah.
if not handled properly.
Big time. That's why CCDC 23 really emphasizes clear documentation,
Okay.
communication, and having a formal process for approving and pricing any changes to the original scope of work.
Right, so everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. Helps avoid misunderstandings
Right.
and make sure everyone is on the same page as the project, continues.
It's like having that system in place
It is.
to navigate those detours.
Yeah.
Right, because you know they're going to happen.
They're coming.
Right, and we make sure those detours don't derail the whole project.
Exactly.
Wow, this is so helpful.
Got to hear it.
Okay, so we've talked about the contract. We've got our insurance.
Yeah.
We've got a plan for dealing with those pesky change orders.
Uh-huh.
What else is coming down the pipeline?
Well, we've really just laid the groundwork.
Wow.
Now it's time to really dive into the actual construction.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. How CCDC 23 helps ensure the project is running smoothly,
Okay.
that it meets those quality standards,
Right.
and ultimately delivers on the owner's vision.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's roll up our sleeves and get this science museum built. All right, so we're back for the final leg of our CCDC 23 deep dive.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Picking the contractor, setting up the contract, getting the insurance squared away.
It's amazing how much goes into just preparing for a big project.
Absolutely. But now the fun really begins. We're moving into the actual construction phase.
All right, so we've got our blueprints, permits are in hand, the construction crew is ready to go. What's step one?
Well, CCDC 23 really stresses the importance of communication, regular meetings, all throughout the construction process.
Oh, okay, so like Regular team huddles, making sure everyone's on the same page.
Exactly. You got it. These meetings, they're a chance to talk about progress, any challenges that come up, how to coordinate all those different trades and subcontractors.
Right, you don't want the plumbers putting in pipes before the foundation's even poured, or the electricians wiring lights before you have walls. Right.
Exactly. Exactly. Those regular check-ins, they help prevent costly mistakes, avoid delays, keep the workflow smooth and coordinated.
Makes sense. So what happens when those inevitable hiccups happen? Like, you discover something unexpected on the site, materials get delayed, maybe there's like a disagreement between the trades. How does CCDC 23 help with all that?
Well, it provides a really clear framework for, dispute resolution.
Oh, okay. So it's like having a built-in mediator. Helps resolve conflicts fairly.
Perfect analogy. CCDC 23 lays out this structured process for addressing disputes. Whether it's a disagreement over the quality of the work, a change in the site conditions, any issue, really.
Because let's be honest, construction projects, they rarely go exactly according to plan.
You're telling me there are always curveballs.
Right. So having that clear process in place for dealing with those challenges helps keep the project on track. It probably helps avoid like those minor disagreements blowing up into major legal battles.
Exactly. It's all about finding practical solutions, keeping those lines of communication open.
Okay, so we're managing the project, resolving disputes. What about making sure the work itself is good quality?
Oh, yeah, that's key.
Are there like things built in to make sure everything meets the standards?
Absolutely. CCDC 23 really emphasizes inspections
Yeah.
and testing throughout the whole process.
Oh, okay. So like regular quality control checks.
Yeah, exactly that. The owner, or whoever they designate, has the right to inspect the work at different stages just to make sure it matches what's in the contract documents.
So they're not just taking the contractor's word for it. They're actually going in and verifying things.
Exactly. It helps maintain that quality control throughout the whole project. Make sure that the final product is what the owner expected.
Right, because nobody wants to end up with a leaky roof or faulty wiring in their brand new science museum.
Absolutely not. And if they do find problems during the inspections, the contractor is responsible for fixing them.
So it's about accountability, making sure issues are addressed quickly.
Exactly. And then as the project starts wrapping up, CCDC 23 guides you through those final stages: substantial completion and final completion.
Okay. Break those down for me. What's the difference?
Sure. Substantial completion, that means the building is basically ready to be used. Even though there might be a few minor things left to do, like some finishing touches
Yeah.
or a punch list.
So for our science museum, this would be like the point where we could start setting up the exhibits, getting ready for the grand opening, even if the landscaping isn't totally done.
Exactly. That's the point where you transition from active construction to those final details.
Got it. So final completion is when everything is totally done. Every little detail is perfect. And then we get the keys right.
You got it. Time to celebrate. Project complete.
Awesome. So the ribbon's cut, the science museum's open, everyone's excited. Does CCDC 23 just like disappear at that point?
Not quite. It actually still has a role to play.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, there's a warranty period,
Yeah.
usually a year. And the contractor is responsible for fixing any defects or problems that come up during that time.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a guarantee that the contractor stands behind their work, that they'll make things right.
Exactly. It gives the owner peace of mind. They know that if problems pop up later, they've got some recourse.
It's like having that extra layer of protection.
Yeah, exactly. And CCDC 23 outlines the process for handling warranty claims, makes sure things are fair and efficient.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive into the world of CCDC 23.
Yeah, it's a pretty fascinating document.
It really touches on every aspect of the construction process.
Absolutely. From the very beginning to the very end.
And it's clear that it plays a really important role in making sure things are fair, transparent, and that the project is successful.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's a really valuable resource for anyone involved in construction.
So listeners, even if you're not planning on building a science museum anytime soon, remember what we've talked about today.
Clear communication, detailed contracts, a commitment to fairness, and understanding the process. Those things can make a huge difference in making sure your construction journey is a smooth one.
And who knows, maybe we'll see you all at that grand opening of our amazing science museum someday. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into CCDC 23.